Hi there. My name's John Leishman. I'm one of the owners of the Data Automation Company, and this is just a really high-level overview of how our software works. Our software is really geared towards bookkeepers and accountants and business owners that want to get the data into their accounting system in a more efficient and just basically in a more efficient way. So really, we have three components to our to how we collect data. We have the QuickBooks database, which is on your local area network, so QuickBooks Desktop, USA, Canada, and UK, and Australia. And then we have all the source documents, so all your receipts, supplier invoices, POs, they could even be paper bank statements. And the third component we have is the digital bank and credit card feed. So that is really access to the client's bank and online bank and credit card data, and this is all done securely through basically the back end of mint.com. So we actually never retain any username and password information. All we have is an account number ID, and we basically facilitate a secure handshake with mint.com, and they hold that data, and they hold it for millions of people. So totally secure, totally safe. So what we do is we pull data from all three areas up into our cloud system. I'll just put it up into our cloud system. So we're pulling aspects of the QuickBooks database into our system. We're pulling, we're extracting data from the source documents into our cloud system, and we're pulling data from the digital bank and credit card feed. And so what we're doing now is we're simply allowing bookkeepers and accounts payable people to simply focus on is this particular line item. So we pull out the individual line items of the vendor invoice. First of all, you have to match the vendors. So vendor names could be different in all three areas. Once you've matched the vendors once, it'll automatically recognizing it going forward. So it's a one-time process. So from your bank and credit card feed, if you're doing like a London Drugs, it might be LND space DRUG. In QuickBooks, it could be London Drugs. In your source document, it could be London Drugs Limited Store Number 32. All different names. So you need to match them all so that subsequent transactions that are pulled from these two areas get associated with the right vendor in the QuickBooks database. So the second component is we're going to pull out the individual line items of the supplier invoice, and then all we have to do is code those individual line items. So is it an item or expense? If it's an item or expense, it'll display a different GL depending on whether it's an item or expense. And then you can, by default, we apply the standard tax code that is pulled from the QuickBooks database, because that will apply to probably 95% of all your transactions. And then you simply assign a job or class. So if you're a construction business, obviously you're going to have different jobs you're going to assign different line items to. And in class, depending on how you run your profit and loss, you might be leveraging that as well. Now, if you're a construction person, for example, and your job name is actually on the source document, we can actually pull that job name and associate that with the line items of the supplier invoice. So this can be auto-filled depending on the data we've pulled from the source document. And then the other component of this is there's going to be taxes in the source document. We're going to display those taxes here. We're going to display the taxes as in how QuickBooks will calculate them, because we're applying a standard tax. And then you can do a quick once over to say, hey, you know what, do those taxes match? If not, then you can manually adjust them. If the totals match, no, you can manually adjust them. I mean, ideally, you're going to be manually adjusting the data here to have it reflect correctly here. The last component is the payment details. So if it's a supplier invoice that's already been paid by a credit card, for example, or a debit card, we'll be pulling that data in. We'll be matching the this bank feed with the data pulled from the source documents to make sure that the data is pushed into your QuickBooks database as a paid bill. So not only will we enter the bill, we'll then mark it as paid with the correct information pulled from your online bank or online credit card account data. So really all the bookkeepers need to focus on once this component has been done is simply is each individual item, each individual row an item or expense, what GL is it associated with, and potentially what job or class is associated with. So we're really cutting down on the keystrokes. And the last thing we do is this is we have, you can't see it, but we have all these rows of data, right? Sorted by date, and you simply click on the row. It expands to this, you code it, and you have a little button saying add to QuickBooks, and then you simply go through all your transactions. There'll be instances where you don't have the source documents, and that's okay. You can simply expand on the data from the bank and credit card feed. We'll automatically apply, calculate the standard tax, and break that out for you, and then you can add it into QuickBooks. The nice thing about our system too is that we will take the PDF of the source document or the bank and credit card feed as backup, and we'll push that into QuickBooks as well. So we can, if you're using a cloud-based system like Dropbox, we can put the URL for that particular source document on Dropbox, insert it into the memo field of QuickBooks. So if you don't want to bulk up your QuickBooks database with the actual PDF inserted into the database, you can actually put a link to where that document is located. So I think that this will, actually I also want to mention too, as you're coding these different items and matching them with items and expenses, our system will recognize that, hey, you know what, our system will recognize the individual line items. So a lot of times they'll have a SKU number. So they'll associate that SKU number with whatever item or expense that you allocated last time, and it'll auto remember and put that data in place, and if it's wrong, then you can simply select whatever the right one might be. So really it's all about creating efficiencies and getting the data into the accounting system so that you can focus more energy and time on the value add activities like taking a look at AR, like receivables, taking a look at AP, P&L, job costing, to see what improvements you can make in your business. So that's our software. It's taken quite a lot of time and effort, and tens of thousands of hours to program all this. But as far as I understand it, there's no one else who has built a product like this that works with QuickBooks Desktop, USA, UK, Canada, and Australia. We're going to have Sage 50 down here in the next, probably by the end of December 2014. We also work with QuickBooks Online as well, and we'll be working with some other online accounting applications like Xero, Wave, and some others as well, Cashew. So that's the end of my quick video. This is a high level quickly on how our software works, why you would want to use it, and how we're trying to make your job as easy as possible. Thank you.